For SunSentinel.com, this is Ira Winderman with your latest Ask Ira Miami Heat mailbag. Our first question today comes from Paul in Delray Beach, and he's referring to Pat Riley's quote from Saturday when Pat said, "You don't have to give players $20 million, $20 million, $20 million. You can give them $20 million, $8 million, $37 million, $25 million." So Paul asks, did they really never talk about bird rights? Paul, the way it played out was this. Pat Riley clearly had a 1 year at a time vision with Dwyane Wade. He was going to make him whole on the back end of the agreements. But what he wanted, as much as anything, was flexibility in the short term, especially for 2017 free agency. So when Pat spoke about bird rights, he meant after Dwyane reached his bird rights and the Heat no longer were using cap space, perhaps at the same time they were using bird rights for the like of Josh Richardson and Justice Winslow, that's when he would have taken care of Dwyane. I think the concern with Dwyane was a little bit different. He didn't want to be put on hold anymore. He didn't want to be told about $37 and $25 million balloon payments down the road. He wanted the money, and he wanted it now, and I think that's what ultimately created the divide that led Dwyane to Chicago. Our second question comes from Dallas in Staten Island. And he says, with Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, and now Dwyane Wade leaving, we've lost 3 icons in an 8-year time period. Maybe Pat Riley's hardball style of negotiating isn't working anymore. I don't think Dallas is really about negotiating. I think it's about Pat Riley's vision of having someone to sell. He was able to sell Dwyane Wade to Shaquille O'Neal until Shaq decided Dwyane was too hurt and would rather play with Steve Nash. Then LeBron James, I think, came to view Dwyane and Chris Bosh as not nearly the players that he can continue his career with, like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And this past season, Riley didn't have anyone like even Chris Bosh to sell to Dwyane Wade with the uncertainty of Bosh's health. I think players want to know they're going to play with other great players. Once Kevin Durant fell through for the Heat, I think Dwyane Wade's ties to Miami perhaps weren't as strong as they otherwise might have been. And our last question comes from Mike in Sunrise, who said, if Pat Riley had this to do over, knowing he was going to lose Dwyane Wade, do you think if he would have allowed Luol Deng to get away as easily as Deng did? Mike, it really comes down to the fact that Luol Deng received a 4-year, $72 million contract from the Lakers. And with the Heat only having early bird rights with Luol Deng, which basically would have given him half the starting salary for next season, the Heat really were limited, and they didn't want to go into 2017. So for all of Deng's fondness for the Heat, between looking at what the money was that they could have given Lou, and considering that he probably wanted to play on a team that had Dwyane Wade, it was sort of a parting that just was going to happen whether Dwyane left or even probably whether Dwyane stayed. The Heat were not going to match $72 million over 4 seasons. Those are today's 3 questions. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 more. For SunSentinel.com, I'm Ira Winderman.